In today's video, we're going to once again be taking an overview look at the upcoming patterns. We're going to take a big deep dive into that. But not only that, we're going to be taking a look at this big severe weather outbreak that is taking place through the evening this evening into extremely early tomorrow morning, pretty much the overnight hours. And that's going to be Tuesday, April 4th being today, into Wednesday, April 5th being tomorrow, Wednesday. Now, we can already see a very strong low pressure center here over Colorado here. Heavy snowfall taking place here for a lot of the Rockies, northern plains, areas like that. But through the day today, we're going to just take this towards about 3 p.m. What we're going to see is this kind of cold front dynamic that wants to take place, and then this warm front here. And we already see some thunderstorms actually on the southern end of this warm front. Usually, warm fronts don't really include any severe weather or thunderstorms. That's usually a little bit more rare than a cold front featuring those features there, but we have seen severe thunderstorm warnings and thunderstorms, of course, along that warm front here near Chicago and surrounding regions. So definitely this is already shaping up to be a very intense storm. We can see this cold front really taking shape by the time we're taking a look at perhaps, for these central regions, it looks like really the worst of it could be, 3, 4, 5 a.m., honestly. We already are seeing some pretty bad conditions here by the time we're taking a look at, 12, 1, 2 a.m. So this really does look like an overnight threat. That's not to say that things can't happen during the late day today on Tuesday, April 4th. But I think most of the activity is going to be happening overnight, actually, which obviously adds a very dangerous aspect to this storm. Very inconvenient and very unideal, and obviously dangerous because of that. Now, we have a jet stream doing about like this. When you see this sharp incline there, kind of a just vertical climb there in the jet stream, that's usually a very intense look. This is going to feature very strong warm winds from the south here for these areas, and very cold diving air here behind everything. And this whole setup is just extremely bad in general. We're going to hope for the best, obviously, but things are not looking good. We have blizzard conditions here for North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota here. All of those areas are seeing extreme snowfall as well. And then by the time we're reaching about 6, 7, 8 a.m., we're still seeing probably this line of thunderstorms here along that cold front, which that basically means that all night, overnight, we're going to be seeing these conditions. I definitely want you guys to just watch this closely. We're going to take a look at that Storm Prediction Center at the end of this video like we've been doing, so we can really pinpoint the areas to watch. So please stay tuned for that. This is extremely just important information. And once we get towards the day on Thursday, April 6th here, we can see this low takes off towards just very far northward up there in Canada. We do see kind of an extension of a maybe stationary front here by this point for the East Coast, and this is probably bringing some thunderstorm activity, some heavier showers in general. And then for early on Friday, we actually see the Southeast get involved here with some thunderstorm activity as well underneath for a lot of these areas. Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina there, even down through Florida. These areas are all seeing a lot of this thunderstorm activity, and then we basically get into a much quieter pattern. I am watching for this. We have a weaker low here and a little bit of a cold front that stretches underneath, so we could be watching for some minimal thunderstorms or severe weather along that pocket there, and that would be for approximately Sunday the 9th into Monday the 10th here, into maybe even Tuesday the 11th there. We're also seeing some of that reach the eastern seaboard, but that again would not be some sort of major storm, anything crazy like that. But that is just something to watch as some potential impacts. And then we get into a very interesting pattern at the very end here, where we have this intense explosive warmth surging through a lot of the central, even a lot of the west and the east here. There's a large amount of warmth entering the United States here, and then we have this cold air and storminess moving in through the west. I fear that this eventually is going to move eastward and then become our next major storm. So we're going to be watching that closely here on the channel. But that would be for the midpoint of April, so that is extremely far out, and we're not going to focus too much on that just yet. Total precipitation here really shows us that we have some storm systems moving in through the northwest. Not a huge surprise there. We have this low that is going to basically move up like this. This is going to bring precipitation not only around the low, some of this is snowfall over here, but definitely this stationary front that lingers after that moves out, we're going to see plenty of precipitation. So this thing is really going to just bring a lot of the activity into the east that we're going to be seeing. So this is a large reason for that. As we take a look at the total snowfall here, we could see that easily we still have about a foot or more to go for a lot of these pink areas, at least 10 to 15 inches. Some of these areas approaching 20, and a lot of it has already fallen. So this absolutely is going to be a monster snow causer. And this is obviously a very late season snowstorm, but this is going to be a very intense one. Now, I wanted to show you guys this European model. We've been going over it anyway, but this European ensemble temperature anomaly model. We see the warmth is in the east, and this is the type of pattern that causes severe weather because we have a low in between, the cold front underneath just like this, and then obviously a warm front just like that. So we see the warm air surging. You can really see this. I'm not obviously making it up. We see the cold air really coming underneath just like this. And the low in the cold front might extend further north than even what I'm drawing here. But when this cold air moves through and hits that warm column from the side, it causes this barreling horizontal rotation that you can kind of just picture. That is what causes kind of that vorticity in the atmosphere, that rotation happening. And all it takes is a very strong storm with a downdraft, which is extremely common, to push that rotation down, and it becomes a vertical column, and that's what we call a tornado. So that is why these types of temperature patterns are usually watched during the springtime for very, very severe thunderstorms. You know, this is what you don't want to see. Warm in the east, cold in the west. That is the setup for severe weather. Now I'm going to show you what the setup for peaceful, calm weather is. And it's something like this, where there is no surging warmth in the east. There is no very humid and intense cape going on here. Nothing of that nature. So there is no room for a strong cold front to take place. There's already equal cold in the east and the west. This is what causes a calmer pattern, and we expect this after this event is done from the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. The next time I could see a big severe weather event happening is well after the 10th. Probably the 10th to the 15th would be the next time frame we watch, and the only reason I say that is because we have this cold in the west and the surging warmth returning to the east here, which again causes the ability for a low to develop out here, develop that cold front, warm front dynamic, and then hit this column from the side, causing the rotation. And that's where it all kind of comes from. And we see this warm in the east, cold in the west pattern trends all the way from about the 13th or the 10th approximately all the way to the 19th here at least. So definitely, I don't think we're done with this major severe weather activity in April, but I think from about the 7th through the 10th, we could have a pretty quiet period there. Maybe even, just once this event is done, pretty much we're going to be quieting down for quite a while. Most likely, I would say, we're going to see a quiet period from about the 7th to the 13th, 14th, or 15th, and then there's going to be that next opportunity likely. But it's just hard to say with this type of a range, but that's just what this long-range pattern tells me. Now, what we're going to do is move on and take a look at that Storm Prediction Center outlook for today. Now, here is that outlook, and as you can see, we have a pretty large, lanky range of severe weather expected through the night tonight. All of these light green areas are going to be your general thunderstorm areas where we expect general thunderstorms, but anything is possible, so you're going to want to heed every watch, warning, and advisory, of course, and just pay attention and watch for those bad thunderstorms because severe weather cannot be ruled out. Even areas that aren't even shaded at all could see a bad thunderstorm that just went unpredicted. So we definitely need to always pay attention this time of year, especially if you're in an area susceptible to severe weather. These darker green areas here, we see Memphis is in there. We also see Indianapolis is probably in there. And then we see that Minneapolis is also in this darker green area. And Fort Worth there in Texas. That is going to be your marginal risk area. That's where we expect isolated severe weather to occur, but anything is possible. We could see a little bit more activity than anticipated, but we don't expect anything widespread in there. The yellow areas there is going to be your slight risk of severe weather, and this is going to be for Austin, Texas, Dallas, Texas, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Kansas City there. We also see Chicago is in this. Rochester, Minnesota as well. So we see some larger areas in this region as well. And this is where we expect scattered severe weather to take place. So we're going to want to pay very, very close attention to that. The orange area here is going to be your enhanced risk of severe weather. And this is where we expect a little bit more widespread activity to start taking place. And that goes for St. Louis. We see that Madison, Wisconsin is in there. Des Moines. We see Little Rock also in there. So these are some of the areas where we expect a little bit more widespread severe weather, and we're going to want to pay very, very close attention. And then we have these two red regions. We're going to take an individual look at each of them. But unfortunately, this is where we once again expect moderate risk of severe weather. That's a level 4. These are pretty rare. High risks are extremely rare. So this is about as high as it gets outside of a high risk, which is only reserved for 10 out of 10 severe weather outbreaks. So if this is, an 8 or a 9 out of 10, it's for sure going to be a moderate risk. So they do expect extremely bad severe weather. I always kind of put that disclaimer out there because a moderate risk seems like it's just a medium risk. You know what I mean? Like a 50-50 risk. No, this is extremely high. It's one level below the highest. So that is how you have to look at it, even though the name kind of sounds different. Cedar Rapids, Waterloo, there. We see that Fort Madison, Davenport, we see Sterling, Illinois. We see a lot of these areas here included in this moderate risk outlook here for Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois, and also Missouri there, very far. Northern Missouri, actually. So as we work our way further south here, we can see that we have another moderate risk. So once again, we actually have two moderate risk areas. We'll just take a look at this northern extent first. Springfield there in Missouri is involved. And then we can see all the way down through Hot Springs there in Arkansas. We see Russellville, Mena, DeQueen, Boonesville, Greenville there, or Greenwood better yet. So we see all of these areas included in this southern extent moderate outlook. So again, second highest level, definitely expecting extremely bad severe weather in both of these red areas, but also outside of it, we can't rule out, anything. I don't want you guys to be like, oh, we're not in the worst, so we can kind of not pay attention. Everybody in any color shade or even outside of it should always be weather aware at all times. That is the best advice I could give you. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at that day after because we've been talking about this one as well. We do have an enhanced risk here for a lot of areas on day 2. And this one includes Memphis, Louisville, Lexington, Kentucky, Cleveland, Detroit, Lansing, Chicago, Indianapolis, Columbus, Ohio is going to be in there as well. So we see many different areas seeing this outlook. And I believe Nashville might be in there too. Yeah, Nashville, Tennessee is also included. So we definitely have a very large enhanced risk area once again, which again is going to be that area where we expect widespread severe weather to begin to be possible. We also have a very large slight risk in that yellow. That includes Buffalo, New York, and other larger cities as well. And then we have that marginal risk once again extending all the way down to Houston, Texas, and then back up all the way to upstate New York and the Upper Peninsula of Michigan on that western extent. So this is a far-stretching severe weather event. Day 2 might be pretty bad. And then day 3 here, we have 2 marginal risk areas, one down there for San Antonio, Texas, down in southern Texas. And then we have one here for the Mid-Atlantic that's going to extend all the way from Greensboro, there in North Carolina, up through Richmond, Virginia, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, all the way up through Harrisburg, Scranton, and Allentown up there in Pennsylvania. So some larger areas there in the Mid-Atlantic as well on day 3. And I'm happy to say there is no extended outlooks right now. So that is all we need to talk about in the severe weather department. Be sure to subscribe. We're going to keep you guys updated daily on all of these things. So be sure to subscribe. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Also, be sure to like the video and leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.